I've been working professionally as an artist for a while, so naturally people want to know, how can I do that too? How can I make a living with my art? And even with all my experience, that's still a really difficult question for me to answer. However, there is one bit of advice that I'm going to give you that I think is going to dramatically increase your chances of success. Greetings everyone, welcome to the underground lair where we bring our creations to life. I'm Scott with Serkworks Art Labs. I'm a professional illustrator, designer, and mad creator, because you know what? You have to be a little crazy to do this thing called art. And something that's crazy is the amount of times people ask me, and for good reason. I mean, I'm here on the internet, but people want to know, how can I become a professional artist, a full-time artist, a working artist? How can I break into comics? All these questions about, people wanting to do what I do or what other artists do on the internet. And because I'm on the internet, because I give advice on art, I do my best to give you advice on things like that, but it's really not that easy. It's different for everyone. And what I've done during my career, or how I broke into comics, if you could even say that I broke into comics, I kind of paved my own road as far as that goes. But people want to know how they can break into comics, how they can make a living doing an artist, how they can get their first, paying gig doing art. And I want to give as much advice as I can, but I don't want to mislead people either. And so a lot of people out there will, and some with good intentions, some for just trying to put out content and trying to make it look like it's easy, because that's what people want, is this easy answer to this very difficult question. But if it was that easy, everyone that wanted to be a professional artist would be a professional artist. So knowing that, I'm going to give you some advice that is really going to help you out. But when I give it, just know that it's still, I can tell you exactly what to do, but it's still not easy. So as I give that advice, I'm going to do one of my blueprint sketches. So why don't we get into that? One of the reasons why I do this channel and I put out content every single week is I want to help artists, maybe avoid some of the mistakes I made, or just give some advice that's going to help them out on their journey to becoming an artist, because it's difficult. And I didn't really have that so much along the way. When I was first starting out as a professional artist, the internet didn't really exist, at least not like it is today with social media and everything. Now, anything I want to know, I can find that out, whether it's on YouTube or whatever. But because of that, hopefully I'm not so guilty of this, but I'm sure there's some things that I put out there that would make it look like it's easy to do, to become a professional artist, and it's not really all that easy to do. So while I can't really make it easy for you, one thing that I can do is make it easier for you, and that's sort of the best that we can hope for. And hopefully you get something out of this channel, and hopefully you're getting good advice and that you're actually going to be able to use and put into action and everything. But it is going to take action. It's just not going to come with you. There's no and I've done things like 10 tips and everything, and I think they're good tips, but there's some things you got to watch out for, as far as like if you're trying to grow a YouTube channel, you'll see all kinds of videos like easy steps to get 10,000 followers, or your first 1,000 followers. Get your first 1,000 followers fast. And somebody can tell you how they got to their 10,000 followers fast, or their 1,000 followers fast, or whatever number you're trying to achieve, but that's their journey. And you have to realize it's different for everyone. There's so many other factors that come into play. Maybe somebody did just start off on YouTube and right away they were able to get 1,000 followers, and because of that, it seems like it's easy to them. They're like, well, and you hear this one all the time, well, if I can do it, then anyone can. And in some ways there's some truth to that, because most people here on YouTube are just average people like you, like me, like everyone else. And whatever the case is, if they took a lot of steps to put everything into place and they had sort of a plan, and that plan happened to work out. And then there's people that have a good plan and everything going into it, and it doesn't work out. And you could take the same exact steps as somebody else, but that doesn't necessarily you're gonna have the same results. Results may vary. You hear that all the time, and there's so much truth to that. So, it can seem like from the other side, somebody who's actually achieved a certain thing, it can seem easy for them. And like I said, I've probably been guilty of this before, because although I don't think in my whole journey, I've never went viral. I don't have, my channel the only reason I have the amount of subscribers that I do is because I've been doing it for so long, and it's just gradually kind of built up. And there was nothing that super jump started things where I just got this massive amount of subscribers or whatever. So I think my journey has probably been, it's been somewhat difficult, but the other hand is I do this because I want to put stuff out here for everyone that's gonna help them out. But just sort of beware of people that kind of put stuff out there and make you think that it's gonna be easy, because not that it can't be. You could get lucky. And that's kind of what I want to get at right now. And that number one bit of advice that I want to tell you that is really going to help you out. And when I say one thing that you can do, it really isn't just one thing. The idea is one thing, but it's doing that thing over and over and over and over again. And that one thing is just consistency. I put out videos every single week. And like I said, in a amount of time, it just gradually started building, and I've built a following and everything, but it took a long time. And sometimes it's a little disheartening, because you're like, okay, I'm putting these videos out every week, and I've never really skipped a week. There's been times where I put out more than one video a week. There's been times where I put out a video every day, but I'm not, and no disrespect to anyone else. I've got a lot of friends who have they've been on YouTube, and then they'll drop off and they'll come back on, and that's fine. And for some of them, it doesn't seem to affect anything. It does really well. But for me, if I was gonna put my money on anything, it's just that consistency. Doing something over and over, whether it's just posting on social media every day, or on YouTube every week, or whatever the case is, or just putting your work out there, because there is a lot of luck involved. There is being in the right place at the right time. And one thing you can do, you can't know what that right place is going to be, or that right time is going to be, but you can dramatically increase your odds if you're always posting. If you're always in a number of different places, you increase your chance of that being that right place. And if you're doing it, many times a week, or or a day, or whatever, you increase being the right time. So it really is all about consistency. So here's an example of how this works in the advertising world. So Coca-Cola, you see Coca-Cola everywhere, one of the biggest advertised products there is. It's all over the place. Now, you might think, you hear this tremendous amount of money that they'll spend on a single commercial or whatever. So you watch a Coca-Cola commercial, chances are you're not gonna see that Coca-Cola commercial and be like, oh man, that guy's drinking a Coke. I want to get a Coke. I'm going to go right now and get a Coke. It doesn't really work that way. The way it works is it's a multiplication of those ads. You see it over and over again. It's everywhere you look. So it's ingrained, that brand is ingrained in your psyche. So when you think, I'm thirsty, it's Coke, it pops up. And that's the whole idea behind consistency. So I remember when I was first starting out, trying to advertise myself as an artist, they used to have what was called source books, and they were these big catalogs where you could advertise in, and it was a pretty hefty price tag. So it was a little bit of a gamble for me, but I took out, I paid for one of these. I think it was like a couple grand. It was pretty expensive. I always said that was my big screen TV at the time. Back when big screen TVs cost a lot more than they do now. But I was like, oh well, okay, I'm not gonna get that big screen TV. I'm gonna drop it on this ad. And unfortunately, the only thing I got from it was a lot of solicitations, other people trying to sell me stuff. I don't think I got a single job from that. And that, and not to say that I couldn't have or whatever, there's a chance that could happen, but it really didn't. And because of that, I looked at it as a failure, when in fact, a lot of people saw that ad, and maybe at that point in time, they weren't they weren't looking for somebody. Now, if I had continued to go with that program, and you know, again, it's sort of a gamble, but if I continue to do one of those ads every year and constantly be in front of people, then you're sort of top of mind. When people think artist or a particular style, they've seen you over and over again, so they get exposed to you. And usually in the art world, the word exposure can be bad, but in some ways it can be good. If you're out in front of everyone, if people remember you, they're more likely to, when they have, because not everyone's gonna be, like with Coke, they're gonna be craving a Coke at that moment, but when they are, that's the first product that's gonna come to their mind. So it's just being out there constantly, consistently, with whatever you're doing, so that when somebody does say, oh, I need an artist for that particular style, you come to mind. Even if that book or whatever advertisement you're in isn't in front of them at that minute, it's still ingrained in their brain. It's the same thing with social media. It's the same thing with posting your stuff online. People seeing it over and over again, because it's granted, if you just put one post out, it could be the best post in the world, but if the right people don't see it at the right time, it's really not going to do you much good. But if you're constantly putting your artwork out there, sharing your stuff, and it could be years down the road. For instance, I did a series called Making Comics 101, and I put a lot of time into that series, and I stand by it as probably one of the best things that I've done on YouTube, and most people you know, are getting a lot of value out of that. And it's pretty much, I think, the most comprehensive course on making comics that you're going to find for free on YouTube, maybe anywhere. So I really am proud of that project. But when I first started putting them out, I was kind of hoping that, you know, if I put one of these videos out, maybe one of them would go viral, and because of that, people would discover it. And that never really happened, but gradually over time, it's getting more and more views, and me talking about it like I just did right then, that's a form of advertising. And you can always, just because you put something out and maybe it isn't successful at the time, or doesn't perform the way you want it to at the time, it doesn't mean it's lost, because things on the internet stay forever. So keep talking about it, keep pointing people to it, and there will be people that see it. And the funny thing is, like I said, it did gradually grow, and because of that, I put myself out there as an authority. And it doesn't take a lot of people seeing it. It only takes the right person to see it too. And again, it's all those odds. And if I would have never put that out there, you know, then maybe the right people didn't see it. Because what happened was, I've got a number of people responding to it, saying that they saw that course, and it's led to other things. Right now, I'm developing a course for kids on another platform, because YouTube isn't the best platform for kids, and I've always wanted to do something for kids. And a company reached out to me because they saw that, and because it was presented professionally, and I put myself out there as an expert on the subject, I proved, you know, what I knew about it and everything. People can look at that and say, yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about as far as creating comics. He can teach comics. So, you know, and because of that, it's brought me other opportunities. So things might not always happen at that exact point, but the more stuff you have out there, I've got over, I don't know how many videos I've got, like it's getting close to maybe 1,000 videos at this point. At least 800, if not 900 or 1,000. I don't know, I haven't really looked lately, but that's because I'm constantly putting stuff out there. And every single one of those videos, even the one that maybe only has like maybe 50 views or something, maybe one of those views is somebody that really sees something in that, who has an opportunity that they can present. So it's the law of averages. It's putting stuff out there and increasing your chances by just being consistent. So really, honestly, that's the one thing that I want to share with you guys. And again, it's not, when I say one thing you can do, I mean, it sounds easy, and you know, depending on what I put on this thumbnail or whatever, maybe it's got to be a little clickbaity, because that's what gets people involved. But I do really try to, anyone that follows my channel knows that you know, I want to be real with this, and I don't want to mislead people or anything. But you do have to get that, initial person to click on, and then maybe you can kind of give them a little dose of reality, as well as some things that are going to help them out. So but really, one thing you can do, which is a lot of things, which is just constantly, you know, keeping at it, and don't get discouraged. It can be discouraging, and I've got discouraged along my journey, because it's never, like I said, it's never blown up. It's never just automatically became this huge thing. But but it is over time. More people see it, more people get exposed to it, and it has brought opportunities. And I just have to remember that when I get discouraged where the numbers are or whatever, and just know that it doesn't have to be, you don't have to have 1,000 views, 10,000 views, 1,000,000 views. You could have 50 views, 25 views, but if the right person sees it, it could be a great thing. But the right person's not going to see it if you don't put anything out at all. And you keep putting more things out there, showing what you can do, and that is really what's going to get you out there in front of more people and increase your chance of becoming a successful artist, increase your opportunities. So that's my advice. Consistency, that would be what I would tell you to do. And it's not easy, because when you put stuff out there, if it doesn't perform the way you think it is, you can get very discouraged. But just keep that in mind, that the more stuff you put out there, the more likely it is that it's going to be success, and that you are going to be a success. So there you go. Okay, so there you go, some advice. And don't you hate it when people give you advice and it's like, okay, here's some advice, here's what you can do, but it's not gonna be easy. Because I think we all want just advice that's like, oh, that's it? Oh, that's cool, I can do that one thing and it's done. And unfortunately it doesn't work like that. I wish it did, but yeah, something you can do, but you gotta stay on top of it. You have to be consistent. So what do you guys think? Are you guys putting stuff out there constantly? Is it hard for you to even figure out what to do? And I've had my issues with that. If you follow my Instagram, you know I haven't posted anything on there for a long time, and it's just like, I'm not consistent on that particular platform. So, perhaps if I was, perhaps I'd be doing a lot better on Instagram. So, but I do, YouTube is kind of my main platform, so I do try to be consistent with YouTube, put stuff out every single week. So until next week, I'll see you guys later. That is all.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Also, you can follow me at Serkworks on social media. And now you can support the work that I do on Patreon. Do you like making comics? Then go to Serkworks.com and pick up the Comic Maker Starter Kit. It's packed full of fonts, brushes, templates, and more. And best of all, it's totally free.